use it inside of this module. So I'm just going to set indicator here to be just a stupid variable. Time. And here is going to be, some special indicator. And in this model, when I run it by itself, it's just going to be 8. And here is, KPI, our key indicator here. So when I connect these together, I just say, in this case, because I'm not doing anything real, I just say that the indicator is equal to whatever the heck the input is to this module. But I could do, you can imagine there being, 7 other different converters and stocks on this connector. So what I can do now is on this variable, I can right-click, assign to input.indicator. And so what that means is I've now tied this indicator to this variable. Now if I use this module on its own, so if I come here and I go save in separate file, I can now open up module 1 as its own model outside of this root model that we've developed. And this, where's that? And this, piece of structure up here just isn't even going to exist, which means this model will run rather than with indicator being time, as it is on the root level, with it being the number 8, which is what we typed in before we connected it up. And so you can do the same thing to share variables from module to module. So this module provides output. This variable is now going to provide output to another module. And I take this, and I can now draw a connector from module 1 to module 2. And so these are called bundled connectors. Because you can imagine that you have many key product indicators that you want to share. And I can mark this as an output. So now on this connector is not only the KPI 1, but also KPI 2. This connector represents both of those connections. So I can come in here and I could say indicator 1, and we'll set that equal to 9. And indicator 2, that one will be equal to 11. And we do the same process now where we assign input to KPI 1, KPI 2. So now we're taking indicator and we're sending it into module 1 to do work on it. We've done work on it, and we're sending KPIs 1 and 2, which are based on indicator, into module 2 for more work. So that's how we can take data and share it across multiple modules. The shortcut for doing this is the following. We can use the ghost tool, grab indicator, double click, put it in. The reason why I wanted to show you though all of the pieces is this creates a bunch of annoying hassle if you try and reuse the module. So now we can take this and we can come and we can ghost it. And we don't have to do all that work. But like I said, what's going to be underneath this variable when we save this module externally is going to be a variable called like converter some weird number, and it's going to have no equation, and it's just going to be a pain to work with when we have an external model. So if you're not using an external model, then cross-level ghosting by using the ghost tool, that's what this is called.
I'm sorry, Billy, you went pretty fast. Just now when you did the first method, can you just quickly go through one more time?
Yeah, so sure. What we did here was we took indicator and we shared it inside this module. The way that we did that was we put down a variable and we said assign input to. But right now indicator is grayed out because I'm already using indicator in this model. So if I had a second variable shared, we could hook it up. And so what that says is this is an input. Think of a module as a function. So this is an input into the function. This variable represents an argument to the function. Think of outputs as return values from functions. So when you run delay 3, you give it the thing you're going to delay, the delay time, and an initial value. So the inputs represent the arguments to that function. The outputs represent the calculated value. So in the case of built-in functions, built-ins only return a single value. So delay 3 only returns a number, whatever the delayed value is. But modules are a bit more flexible. They allow you to return multiple things. You could send to the rest of the world not only, quote, the answer, but other stuff. You can have as many things as you want coming into the module, and as many things as you want going out of the module. So using inputs and outputs, through all the right-click menus is best for when you want to reuse the module. Using the cross-level ghost tool is when you don't care and you just want to do it quickly.
So once we have assigned input for this variable in this module, and if we use the ghost tool in this module, it won't be a problem afterwards.
Right, so I can take this and I can ghost this as many times as I want. If I can grab it. And what that did is it didn't create a ghost of the model on the root level, it created a ghost of the variable over here. So if I were to run this model as its own submodel without the rest, this would be a ghost of whatever value was here. Okay. Boy, that was a big diversion. Yeah.
What's the difference if I want to delete just one of the ghost variables versus completely take out that variable in all of the sectors?
So let me go back and hook one up. Yeah, no worries. My fault for closing it. Okay, so now I have a connected, this is called an assigned module input. I have an assigned module input. An unassigned module input is something like this. So this thing says it accepts input, but it doesn't have any yet. So that's actually an error. You won't be able to run your model until all of your assigned inputs are fulfilled. Anyway, so let's say I wanted to still use this variable. So let's say I was doing cool stuff with it, and boy would it be a pain in the behind to have to reconnect those two connectors. If I were to take this and delete it, it would not only delete this variable, but it would delete the two connectors associated with it. So what you can do is just grab the connector and pull it off. And now this variable is no longer connected to this module. And the link is broken. If I have left the link together, also notice how it turns this into an unassigned module input. Because it was assigned before, you kind of implicitly told it that this thing is an argument to this module. So it remembered that for you. And I think if I just delete this, it's not going to touch. Yeah, it doesn't touch what's going on in there. Any other module questions before we get back on task? Okay. Alright, so let's actually finish setting up these numeric displays like I promised I would do for you. Alrighty, so here we go. We use the plus, console price. So now you know why you see a ghost here. And so we wanted to do Nintendo, current, and this is the Wii U price. And this is the PS4 price. Okay, so now we've got this side of things set up. We need to do the same thing to this. It's just turning the crank, as I like to say. So first, I'll take that text box and I'll move it over. And I'll call this next. The other shortcut, so you don't have to keep pressing this green plus and going through the pop-up dialog, is just to switch this from current to next. And this is all right. Let's get that up there. All right, so I have things, they're off by like half a pixel here, and it bothers me. So what I'm going to do here is go to the style panel here, which allows me to set these things. So what is this one at? This one's at 170. So when I do a multi-selection like this, I've selected this numeric display and that one. I can set a Y value for the both of them, which will lock them into alignment. This one is 210. Let's do both of these at 210. That's 250. Let's do both of these at 250. Much better. So now we get what looks like one solid line. Makes things look nicer to me at least. Okay. So according to our wireframe, we got to set up our two market share graphs. So we've got a little thing going here right now where the current generation console is blue, the next generation is red. So let's, I guess, come up with company colors for our charts up here. So this is one of the things that we would have decided in the mock-up phase if we were actually doing mock-ups, all the colors for these things, so that when we're developing stuff here, we don't have to think about it. We can just look back at our spec. But we didn't do that, so we have to think now. Okay, so let's set up our market share. What we want to use here is market share, not indicated market share. If you remember from the structure of this model, indicated market share is what we expect the market share to be based on our product attractivenesses. It's kind of, if you think of a goal gap system, it is the goal. Market share is where we got actually after calculating the values of customers in the stocks. So we want to do market share of the current products. And it's really nice that we can use that array picker to get 3 plots automatically for us. Let's go ahead and set these now up. So Microsoft will call Micro, well actually let's call it the Xbox One. Nintendo is the Wii U. And Sony is the PS4. All right. We make our graph here a little bit. I guess let's stick this legend here on the right. Nah, that doesn't look good to me either. So what is the size of this chart? 250, 383. Let's align these two. All right, so we're going to do the same trick to get these charts in a line. So we'll select them both. This one is originally at 17.5, which is what I like. So we'll put them both at the same x coordinate, and that gets them aligned. This chart is 235.83. And that gets it aligned with y's as well. Okay, so this is, let's set up our titles. So this is our market share current generation. And we're a little squeezed for space at the moment. So let's see if we can't make some room. Maybe if we stick this.
Is the size for this page fixed?
Yeah, so we decided yesterday that we wanted the size of our page to be the size that it is, based on the resolution of the monitors that we're going to be presenting on. Plus, I made the image to fit this size. And when we stretch images, they look bad. So don't stretch images. Okay, so let me think about this. Or, yeah, I think if we stick these things a bit closer together. We're still short a bunch of space. Okay, so let's just call this console prices. That gives us a whole bunch of vertical space now, so we can take the next generation stuff. And so if you hold the shift key down when you use the up and down arrows or the left and right arrows, you move in a much larger step. So I'm using that to jump, 5 pixels at a time rather than 2. And so now I can take this and stack it on top. Oop, I missed one. Maybe it's best to just get rid of that. I mean, it's pretty obvious that these are all prices, right? Yeah. Let's set the width of these. Cool. That actually looks pretty good. I'll take that. That's a win. Alrighty, so now let's do our market share for the next generation. And it looks like we actually have some room to make our graphs a bit taller, at least our market share graphs. Okay, so since we didn't really do any special settings over here in the legend, it's probably just a lot easier to remove these 3 and reset them up. And this is FX next. This is switch. And this is PS5. Okay, and this isn't current gen anymore, it's next gen. So now we've got all of what we've determined are our key indicators here. Let's get everything nicely lined up on a grid. So let's make these graphs match this size. We've probably got a little bit too much breathing room here, so we can take these 3 charts and give them a bit more space. So first, let's take this and align it up top here. Then we can take this, and align it down here, align it down there, and then these. Actually, let's start by adjusting this one. That looks pretty good. That looks pretty good. That looks pretty good. Yeah. Cool. I'll take it. Alrighty. So let's put a title up here so that people know exactly what they're looking at. So this is the market data. And let's get the box to fit in the space. We'll open up the panel here. Here I'm just going to use plain text because there's no need for me to style stuff individually. So I'm going to come here. I'll make this size 18, I think. Yeah, we can actually go a bit bigger. 24. Let's see what that looks like. I think that's good enough. What do you guys think? All right, we got ourselves a dashboard. So let's save that. Good thing for you to know in the back of your head is that Architect does automatically save every minute to 3 minutes, depending upon the size of your model. It doesn't save it to your file, so it won't overwrite your file for you. But in the case that you do hit a crash or something like that, which do unfortunately happen, it will recover your file, so you shouldn't lose any more than 3 minutes worth of work. Yeah?
Can you delete the dimensionless legend on the left?
Oh yeah. So the way that we do that is we come in to the left y-axis title. So by default, we don't specify titles for you. So if you put a blank in here, we will use our default, whatever we think the legend title should be, based on your units. So if you enter in a single space, that's enough to trick us into removing the units. Although sometimes it's really nice to have units. In this case, it's not really strictly necessary. Oh, I realized we're missing something from this page. So these things are all in percents, and that's nice, and it automatically picked that up for us. And let me show you why it picked that up for us. These things are in whole numbers. Oh yeah, we don't have any dollars on this. Oh, and this isn't dollars. Damn it, I set up all of the number formats for you. I didn't want to do that. All right, so let me show you where this came from. So this stuff looks really good because this is in dollars and cents, and this is in percents like it should be, and these are nicely auto-formatted. So let me teach you about number formats. So there's two ways to set up number formats, and number formats cascade just like styles. The easiest way to do it is to right-click on any graph or table or anything like that, and you get this format menu, and then you can format any one of the values on this graph. So we can format market share. We have then precision, which specifies essentially the number of decimal places. So we go all the way, from only, round to the nearest 100,000 to round to the nearest 10,000th. Full precision is give me every single gosh darn number you compute. Free float is 6 positions of the decimal place, and auto precision is we take a guess based on what the value of the number is, how much precision you want. Display as, that's really obvious. Displayed as a number, displayed as a currency. So unfortunately, currency right now is just limited to $. It's stupid in that sense. It will get smarter in the future, where you'll be able to specify what the currency you want it to be in. But right now, unfortunately, just $. Scale by. So this is a way of making numbers small. So see how this is 10K, 5.0K, K represents 1,000. So rather than seeing tons and tons of zeros, we're actually using auto scaling here, which figures out what the appropriate number to divide these by is, and then add the appropriate suffix. K for 1,000.
Do you have the legend for that anywhere? Because like I was running one model and I got, okay, K is pretty obvious, but they were D, all these things, and I just got confused. And it's not very easy to find this online.
Yeah, no, we don't. I guess we make an assumption. So K is 1,000, M is million, B is billion. We might do
I got
Q,
so I got T,
trillion.
trillion, and D. Did you use D? Or was
I don't
it?
think we have a D.
Okay.
We might have a Q for quadrillion.
Q, that was Q. No, Q was
Quad, you're dealing with, if you get to quadrillions, wow.
that was a fossil 2 model.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Like numbers.
Yeah, no, I guess that's a bit of our American bias showing. Those things are meant. Okay.
And another question, it might be very stupid, but for some reason I get really bothered with the graphs. We have so much space outside of the graphs within the quadrant, within the box. Especially,
Paddings.
I understand it's, it's like, especially the space between the legend and the graph. It's like so much useless space wasted. Like, is there a way to work on that? Or is that
I don't give you explicit control over the paddings. I could though. I probably should.
The graph really looks small sometimes. Like here, it looks more or less fine, but still, like for me, it's a bit too small.
Right. I mean, our graphs don't pack very well. You can't pack. We're pretty much at our maximum packing efficiency in terms of graphs, so we couldn't put 9 on this page and end up with readable graphs. You have my email address. Send me
I'll find it.
something.